everyone, today I wanted to do a little bit of just like a chatty get ready with me. Last month I posted my first monthly makeup drawer for the month of May. I really enjoyed doing that, and so I'm kind of doing that process again for the month of June. So I've got some of my makeup picks here for this month that I wanted to share with you, and then also just wanted to kind of update you guys and share a little bit about my recent trip to Amsterdam. I thought I'd share just some fun moments and highlights from that trip. I know I kind of teased it a little bit in my most recent like pack with me video, so just wanted to share some fun highlights from that trip as well. If you're new here, hi, my name is Molly and this is my new YouTube channel, The Beauty of It All. I am a Sephora employee, and here on this channel we talk about makeup tips, we go over product reviews and recommendations, and just create some simple looks that are really natural and beautiful. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, I would love to have you subscribe if you haven't already. So a few of these products I did have in my makeup drawer for May, but I just either really loved them, wanted to keep it going, or again, because of like shade ranges, needed to continue using them before we get into like the peak summer months where I'm gonna be a little bit more tan and won't be able to use some of these products. I really enjoyed this process last month. I think it made me use products that I had forgotten about, or it made me use products in a different way that I hadn't before. It also just helped like streamlining the process of getting ready in the morning when I only had a certain amount of products to choose from. I knew like I had to pick from these versus just allowing myself to choose anything in my collection, making it more overwhelming than it needs to be. I found it to be very helpful in that regard. But what I'm gonna start with today is this Danessa Myricks. This is the Yummy Skin Water Power Serum. I've talked about this a couple of times on my channel. It is a primer that starts off, like the name of the product suggests, as a water-based serum, but then as it dries down, it sets into this really beautiful, soft, like powder finish, and it helps control oil and excess sebum throughout the day. So I've been loving this one, and I'm just feeling a little like oily and greasy today, so I'm gonna go in with this. Mostly focusing this on the T-zone, and you really don't need a ton of this, and you just kind of tap it on the bottom here. If you guys can see, it's got a little button down here that you just press to dispense the product onto your face. So I'm just gonna start by rubbing this in again, primarily on the T-zone. Next, for my base today, I'm gonna be going in with my CL Skin Tint. Y'all, this is just a fabulous product. I picked this up during the Sephora sale this year, and I've been using it so regularly. Like this and my House Labs foundation are like really neck and neck right now. It's such a lightweight skin tint foundation. It's technically called a tinted serum. For me, this has like the texture and consistency of a skin tint, but it has like the light to medium coverage of like a buildable foundation. So it's this really unique product. It's also got SPF 50, which I love, especially for summertime. So this is what I'm gonna be using today. It's got a dropper applicator. I'll be honest, I don't love the dropper, like just taking it on my face. So what I've found to work for me is just taking some on the back of my hand here. I find that one, that lets me have a little bit more control of the product, and it also just helps me to use less. So I'm gonna be taking this Makeup by Mario, this is the double-ended F4 brush, and just kind of dipping into this on my hand and starting to work this into the face in light layers. So like I mentioned, we went to Amsterdam a few weeks ago. We were there the first or second week of May, and we had so much fun, y'all. So I went with my husband and my mother-in-law. I'm also just gonna add a teeny bit more of the skin tint here. So I'm just taking the last of that skin tint and putting it in the center of the face and kind of working it outward a little bit. This brush is also so good for application of a foundation, and then I'm gonna use this other side for some like bronzer contour products. I've really been loving this one lately. Next up, I'm gonna go in and do my brows. I'm just gonna use these two products from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the brow powder in the shade Dark Brown. Been loving this a lot lately. I'm just gonna use the darker shade, I think, today, and then gonna set it with just the ABH Brow Freeze. I'm just gonna take an angled liner brush and dip into this darker shade, tap off the excess, and kind of start shaping the brows. So I had been to Amsterdam once with my husband. We went in 2022. We did London, Paris, and Amsterdam. That was the first time I had ever been there. It is such a stunning city, you guys. Like, I was obviously, you know, super excited to go there the first time we went. I don't think I realized like how unique of a place it is and how incredible the people there are, the culture. It's just such a really cool place to visit. We stayed this time in the same hotel that we did previously, just right in the canals. And I've heard fabulous things about like the surrounding cities of Amsterdam. We didn't get out there. Well, one day we did. We didn't get out much to like the surrounding cities, but we did go to a tulip garden one day, which was like the most quintessential experience I think I've ever had. Like seeing the tulips in Amsterdam in the spring, it didn't get much better than that. When I had gone with my husband Ben previously in 2022, we went in October, and so we got to see all of the beautiful like fall foliage and all of that. But going this time in May was such a unique experience because we got to see the city like in a different climate. And again, like I mentioned, just the tulips were so sensational. We also got so lucky with the weather because Amsterdam is traditionally like a very rainy city. I think particularly around that time of year too, but it only rained one day, I think when we were there, like one evening. But otherwise it was like perfect. It was like 65 and sunny, just beautiful, beautiful spring weather. Next, I'm just taking about that much of the brow gel, working it into the spoolie. And I just kind of like tap it on the lid and just kind of roll my spoolie into it to get it evenly coated. And then just going to brush up the brows and make sure that they're nice and set so that they do not go anywhere today. I'm just gonna take my Precisely My Brow. I'm in the shade 3.5. Oh, and also, sorry, in the CL Skin Tint, I'm the shade 3 Light. I'll make sure and list all of the products and like shades that I'm in the description as well. But I'm just gonna take Precisely My Brow and just lightly go back over where I need some more definition from brushing out the brows. Mostly just under here. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like those look oddly like straight today. It's fine, I don't really have anywhere to go, but that shape wasn't like ideal, but that's fine. Next, I'm gonna go in with my Kulfi eyeliner. This is just in the shade brown. It's called Cheeky Chiku. And I'm just gonna do like a little bit of a liner, a tiny baby wing, nothing like too crazy for today. This has been another really good one though. Again, this is a product that picked up during the Sephora sale and I've really been liking it. I feel as though this has a little bit more pigment than like my Rare Beauty gel liner, but it's just as easy to blend. And I do think that it has a little bit more like staying power throughout the day. Like at the end of the day, when I wear this one, I think that you can just tell that there's a more intense pigment there that hasn't faded as easily. But you do have to work relatively quickly with these, I will say. They do set pretty fast. So I'm just gonna take a smudger brush and lightly soften that just a little. And I'm gonna clean this wing up with a Q-tip here as well. So I'm just going to clean it up here and bring it in a little bit. There we go. That's kind of more what I was hoping for. Just gonna do the same on this side. There we go, a little more subtle for the everyday. So we were in Amsterdam about 4 days, which was perfect. Like plenty of time to explore the city if you haven't been before and are wondering. 4 days was awesome and we did so much, y'all. Like every day was jam-packed. Gosh, what all did we do? We went to the Van Gogh Museum, or the Van Gogh Museum, as they say over there, which was crazy. My husband and I had gone to the museum when we went before. It was just as impressive, just as mesmerizing this time though. And it's really wild. Like, I am not an art buff by any means. Like, I just don't get art. It's never been my thing, but like to see a whole museum of Van Gogh's paintings and know that he did that in 10 years, because that's all he painted for. I think he was 27 and then he died at 37, was actually wild. Like, dozens and dozens and dozens of paintings, probably hundreds, I think is probably a better description. And just like beautiful works of art, just really cool. And we did the audio tour, so you got to hear more of like the stories behind the paintings, the, you know, what little hidden messages to look for. It was really cool. But I know in my Packed With Me video, I talked a lot about testing out this product right here. This is the Makeup Forever HD Skin Face Essentials palette in the light medium shade. I've done a whole like pretty extensive review of this palette, like swatches, application, wear test. I'll link it here. So go and check that out if you want a much more in-depth review of this product. I will be honest, on this trip, I did not use this as much as I had hoped. But I think that's partly my fault because I forgot a tool that I wanted to use with it, and it was this spatula. So I will occasionally do like my friend's makeup, and because of that, I am like right in between these two top shades for a foundation, like a good foundation match. Because I am using this palette or will use this palette in the future to do other people's makeup, I don't want to just take my own brush and like dip in between the two of these. One, it's just not very sanitary, and two, it just like doesn't preserve the integrity of the shades very well. So I would have liked to use this to actually like scoop out some of the foundation, mix it on the back of my hand, and then apply it. But I forgot this guy, so I did use the blushes quite a bit. Those were super easy to just swatch on my finger and apply, but I did not get like a super great wear test of the foundation on this trip, unfortunately. But again, it's kind of my own fault. I forgot this guy. So I do want to use this a lot more in the month of June. So what I'm going to do today is mix kind of my own custom blush, which I think will be really fun. And then I'm also going to use this for contour. So first I'm just going to dip into this contour shade here, and I'm going to take probably about that much to start. And then I'm just going to start working this into a brush. I'm probably gonna need more than that. Actually, much more than that. That was not very much. Okay, so taking a bit more, I'll try that much. Now that kind of looks like a lot, but we'll see. And again, working this into a brush and then working that into the cheeks a little bit, kind of bringing it up to the temple. And then I'll take kind of just what's left, bring it on my forehead. I don't need like a lot of contour today. And then I'm just gonna do the same on the other side real quick. Okay, and then for blush, I'm actually just gonna mix this pink blush with the pink shimmer because I want a little bit more glowy on the cheeks today. So I think that'll be really cool. So again, just kind of scooping out a little bit of the blush here, and then also mixing in some of the pink highlight as well, which is super, super pretty. So I've got about that much of each, should be plenty. And then I'm just gonna mix it with my other side of the Mario F4 brush. And then, ooh yeah, that's pretty. The glow in that highlighter is really just perfect for like the everyday. It's super subtle, very much like a glow from within, not like a strobe light on your face. Love, super pretty. Like I mentioned though, we did so many other fun things. One was truly like just a highlight was that tulip garden that we went to. So it's, I'm gonna put a picture of the name here. I'm gonna butcher it, but it is a massive, like you guys, when I say massive tulip garden, it is like Disney World for flowers. I'm not kidding. So it's open like 7 weeks a year, I think is what they said. And each day they see on average 30,000 people. I was like just shook. There were so many people there, but it didn't feel crowded because it's such a massive place. Like there was plenty of room to walk around, just take all the tulips in. It was so beautiful. We were there on one of the last weekends it was open, I think, but it was still just so gorgeous. I'll put some pictures of all the flowers in, but it was just really, really beautiful. Like I'm smiling so much just thinking about it because it was just such a cool experience. And it was awesome to see the vastness of it all and then to learn a little bit about the park. I think it had been open for 75 years and they have a less than 50-person groundskeeper crew to maintain all of that. And they plant, like, I think they said 7 million bulbs of tulips per year. And they do it like a whole new design. Like there's a whole system of mapping out all the tulips so that it looks a specific way. It was just phenomenal to get insight into that. Okay, so again, we used the contour shade and then mixed these two for a little glowy blush today. I still really love this palette, y'all, and I do intend to use it much more this month. Unfortunately, like I don't feel like I can give a thorough review of it on how it performed on a trip because I just didn't have the tools that I needed to use it to its full potential. So I'm still like a big fan of this. I would still recommend this, but I will need to take it on one more trip before I can say like full stamp of approval for like a one and done travel palette. But still a good purchase for sure. Okay, next I'm gonna go in with concealer. I feel like I'm doing this a little out of order today. Normally I would have gone in with concealer a bit earlier, but this duo right here is one I'm super excited to use for the month. This is the Bobbi Brown corrector in the shade Light Bisque, so a little bit of a color corrector here. And then my House Labs concealer. I can't get enough of this right now. It's just a really good concealer. So I'm gonna go in with a little light layer of the corrector and then put some concealer on top. I just truly take my ring finger in this and dab it on where I feel like I need the coverage, which is mostly just kind of in this center with a little bit of my dark under eye. The concealer is in the shade 11 Light Neutral. I would also say Amsterdam is just one of like the most chill cities that I've personally ever been to. It's not like a Paris or a Rome, you know, where there's just such a fast pacedness to it all. I find that Amsterdam is really just kind of like a sit back and take it all in kind of city, probably in large part due to the limited vehicles that are like buzzing around the city. It's such a pedestrian friendly place, and naively, the first time that we went there, we were like, oh, you know, city of bikes. Like, of course we'll rent a bike, we'll ride bikes while we're there. No. If you haven't been to Amsterdam, then just to like inform you, you do not bike unless you know what you're doing in that city, and you bike on a mission. You are not like leisurely strolling around the town. No, you have a place to be, and if you forget that, you will become one with the road. So I would not recommend riding a bike for your first time in the city unless you are a, you know, expert bike rider. I am not, but they do have some really cool like underground bike garages. I think that's what they're called, bike garages, I guess. I'll put some pictures in here. The whole like infrastructure of and transportation of the city is really, really impressive. They just do it very high quality over there. And then to finish out my eyes, I'm just gonna take my favorite Tower 28 mascara in Drift, paired with the Sephora, the colorful crayon contour in the shade Coconut, just to line my waterline. We also took a boat tour when we were there, and the boat tour guide was super, super informative and told us that the ratio of bikes to people is slightly different than what you might think it is. So I think he said there are either like 1.3 or 1.4 million bikes in the city, but the city of Amsterdam only has like 900,000 residents. So a little more than one bike per person in the city, which was funny. Just gonna go in with probably 2 coats of mascara as per usual here. Eyes done. I am going to just finish out with a few steps here. One being powder. Keeping the Huda Beauty powder in my makeup drawer for June, just because I like this to set the under eyes whenever I feel like it. I just take like a fluffier eyeshadow brush, pour a bit of the product out, make sure you get that excess off, holy goodness, and set the under eye. And then to set the rest of my face, I'm gonna use my Fenty Invisimatte. I'm kind of like playing around with this a little bit more. I don't know. I'm not like obsessed with this right now. You guys can see down here, it did start to hard pan on me. This is an easy fix. I'm not gonna do it right now, but all you need to do is take a little spoolie and like lightly scrape off that top layer. But obviously I don't love when products do that. It's just not like a great experience, but I do know that sometimes It could be just a bad batch. It could be like user error, like if I accidentally had some water on my brush when I went into it, that could impact, you know, the fact that it's hard panning as well. But all that to say, I'm just gonna use this to set the rest of my face. So just gonna dip into this and set mostly in the T-zone as well. I will say one good thing about this powder is it is like fairly buildable. So I find that it's hard to like overdo it with this, whereas with my House Labs, like if you do it too much too quick, like it can look a little heavy. But I would also say I still feel like the House Labs powder just does a better job of blurring than the Invisimatte does so far. But, you know, I'm gonna play around with it a little bit more this month. We'll let you know how it turns out. I will say for coverage on the trip to Amsterdam, I felt like I used this CL skin tint the most. I paired it a lot actually with my Lumi Glotion for a primer and loved that combo. It worked really well. I didn't feel like it moved around a lot during the day. It worked super efficiently. Now in my May everyday makeup video, I did say that May was gonna be a no-buy month for makeup for me. And I was so close. I don't think I went overboard, but I did end up purchasing 2 MAC lip liners in Europe. They're not like, it's not like I can't get them in the US or anything like that. We were in this big mall. There was a really impressive MAC counter and I've never owned anything from MAC before. So I got this lip liner. This is in the shade Whirl. And then I need to find it actually. I'm not sure where it is. I got another lip liner. I think it's in the shade Soar is what it's called. Whirl is I think one of their best sellers. Everyone else but me probably knows about it. It's this really, really pretty like kind of brown pinky tone. So I was close to having it be a no-buy month, but there's just something about like getting a product on a trip for me that's really special, and it makes it more memorable and I think more meaningful because it's associated with a memory rather than just like buying something to buy it. So again, I know this is something I could have gotten here, but it just was a really fun moment. Last 2 products I'm gonna use are this lip liner and then this lip gloss from Fenty. This is in the shade Fussy. I feel like this is such a versatile color. Like it can be an everyday, or you could really like amp it up if you wanted to. So that's just the lip liner. And then I'm just gonna amp it up with this Fenty gloss again in the shade Fussy. And then lastly, I'm just gonna take a little bit of setting spray. I've been using this Urban Decay All-Nighter in May. I'm just gonna keep it rolling for June. I really liked this. This one is almost done, but I did just get a new one in gratis at work from Sephora, so I'll probably just like use that one next. But just a light spray. All right guys, this is the final look for some of my favorite picks in my everyday makeup drawer for the month of June. I'm also gonna insert this video here so you guys can see what the full makeup drawer looks like. You'll notice some products are the same like I mentioned. I did take out a couple of products here that I have been testing for a video that I'm super excited to film in the next like week or two and show y'all. So I've been testing out a few things here. I'll make sure and link all of these products in the description of this video below if you want to check any of those out. But let me know in the comments if you guys are liking this series. I think it's something I want to keep doing, but if you feel one way or the other, please let me know. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. If you are new here, again, please consider subscribing. But my name is Molly, and as always, thank you guys so much for joining me to chat about the beauty of it all. Bye, everyone.